Hey guys, we're going over our last set of big blind defend ranges in this video, and that is our 100 blind effective defend ranges versus the 2.5x. We will see some combo changes between 50 and 100 like we did from 50 to 30. We don't get to use those offsuit blockers as much out of position when we're deep. So now when we're facing early position, we're really just focusing on getting a mix of enough combos of hands that play well and don't share cards and don't share boards with that continue range that often. So when we're looking for, the bluff combos to balance out this aces, kings, and ace-king suited versus early position 3-bet range, we are looking for the 3-4, 5-3, 5-4, 4-5, 4-6, 5-6, 7-5 suited types, the 6-7, 7-8 suited types, and those are all going to be at about 20-25%. And the suited aces, which do play well in some of those 3-bet pots. They do make the overflushes, they do cover some of those low boards, and they do block that in position 4-betting range, which is usually going to be, not that prevalent of a strategy early versus big blind. So as you can see, we're really not doing too much 3-betting, just slivers of ace king off, ace jack suited, all these suited broadways, just small frequencies there. Same thing with the jack 9, 10, 9, 10, 8 suited. So really what this grid looks like is it's a lot of calling from the big blind versus early at 100, but we still want to make sure that we always get that money in with the aces and very often with the kings and very often with ace king suited, ace queen suited, because those hands do play so well at 100 versus that call range versus our 3-bet. So don't get too carried away with not wanting to play a big pot out of position deep versus early. We do still want to get that money in with aces, kings, and ace king suited, ace queen suited. And then we do want to protect our defending range with those strong hands that are ace king off, ace queen off. All those suited broadways are in there really often. Every pair, queens down to twos, is almost pure calling, with tens, jacks, queens, throwing in like a 10% 3-bet every now and then. So that's what it looks like versus early at 100 versus the 2.5x. But like we've talked about, you might face a little bit of a smaller size, but that's not going to change your combos or frequencies too often. It's just going to change your defending range more than anything. It is important to note that that defending range is tight at 100, right? That we're folding the king 8 off to the 2.5x or the 2.3x or 2.4x, queen 8, jack 8. We're folding those 7-5, 8-6 offsuits. So don't overlook the importance of playing a very solid defend range when you're not facing that direct min raise, because at 100, those hands like king 8, queen 8, jack 8, for the 2.5x, they really don't perform well, and you get in tricky spots versus aggressive players. That being said, if you're playing against somebody that, like we've talked about, doesn't have as much aggression or isn't capable of those no equity bluffs, then we can dip down a little bit and start defending into those king 8, king 7, king 6 type stuff. Once we get to middle position, when we're playing against that range of 20-22% like we talked about, now we do get to 3-bet much wider. It is very different than playing against that 15-17% range. So in this case, our defends don't expand too much. We're still folding that ace-2 off. We're still not defending ace-3 all the time. Little bit of king 7, king 6, but mostly just king 8 plus and queen 9, jack 9 plus. Again, versus people that aren't aggressive and are going to let you realize your equity more often than they should. You can defend a little bit wider, but still those 5-3, 6-4, 5, those types of hands versus early and middle really aren't worth much of the pot there, and they tend not to perform well versus those tighter ranges. So they're not going to be in there very often. Really close to the same value as just folding those hands. So our 3-bet range is now going to look something like, we're using those suited connectors for playability and board coverage. We're expanding our 3-bet range versus a wider range that is like 22%. And we're going to see those hands that we see come up pretty much at every depth. Those really high frequency 3-bet bluffs from the big blind when we're building our strategy like this. The king jack suited, queen jack suited, queen 10 suited, the jack 9, jack 10 suited, of course, and then some of these ace 10, ace jack, king queen, king jack offsuits, and the suited aces. But big takeaway here is we've moved away from a lot of the offsuit bluffing. Now we're just using good hands to, as our lighter 3-bets that do play very well and do have that property of folding out those hands that dominate us. And, we're still defending pretty tight versus middle here at 100 because our positional disadvantage is significant with those, offsuit high card hands like the king 5 offs and stuff like that. So that's a player dependent adjustment, but when we're playing all those weak hands too wide, you can see a lot of those defends are taken out. And a lot of the 3-bets are just with strong hands that play well post flop, that have good properties, either unblocking their lightest steals or, not sharing cards with their continuing range versus the 3-bet, folding out hands that dominate them, having some of those blocker values some of those blocker effects to his value range.